Hello, my dear students of class 12 science. Hope all of you are fine and sound in your beautiful homes. Today, I'll share some knowledge of imperfection in solids. That is the last part of your solid state chemistry. First of all, you have to understand one thing, that in this world, no one can tell that he is 100% perfect. And as no one is 100% ideal, so what will be the definition of ideal crystal? As I am discussing about the crystals of solids. A crystals in which the constituent particles have a definite repeating arrangement is called an ideal crystal. Now, what is imperfection or what is defect in solids? Crystal defect arises when they are not in the particular position in the crystal. So, when some constituent particles do not occupy the theoretical position, then crystal structure shows some deviation, and this deviation is called crystal defect. Now, what will be the cause of this crystal defect? According to the third law of thermodynamics, a perfect crystalline solid is possible only at absolute 0 Kelvin temperature. When the temperature is raised, some of the atoms or electrons present in the atom may be displaced from their original position and causing defect in crystals. Another way may be when crystallization takes place at a faster rate or at a moderate rate, then the constituent particles may not get sufficient time to arrange themselves in perfect manner or perfect order. Single crystals appear when the crystallization takes place at extremely slow rate. However, even these crystals also are not free of defects. Now, here there may be three types of defects. There may be three types of defects in crystal. One is point defect, another is line defect, another is plane defect. But in our syllabus, the scope is to discuss only point defect. So today I will discuss point defect of crystals. Now, what is point defect? Point defect arises due to the deviation from the regular arrangement of the constituent particles in crystalline substance. Now, these point defects may be three types. One is stoichiometric defect, another is non-stoichiometric defect, and another is impurity defect. These three are also point defects, the type of point defects. Now, what is stoichiometry? What are stoichiometric compounds? First, we have to understand this thing. Stoichiometric compounds are those compounds in which the number of cations and anions are in the same ratio as indicated by their chemical formula. Now, these point defects that do not disturb the stoichiometry of the compound are called stoichiometric defect. And these stoichiometric defect may be two types. One is vacancy defect, another is interstitial defect. In case of vacancy defect, here some position or some site there is no constituent particles. Okay, these places are vacant. So here the density of the defected crystal, that means containing the vacancy defect, density will be less compared to the perfect crystal. Now another type of defect is there, that is called interstitial defect. In case of interstitial defect, all atoms are present in their perfect position, but in the interstitial side there is some atoms or constituent particles. So the density of this type of interstitial defect, the density will increase. Now generally this type of vacancy defect and interstitial defect generally observed in case of non-ionic crystals. But for ionic crystals, there are also two types of point defects that maintain both the stoichiometry as well as the electrical neutrality of the crystal. Now these two defects are, one is Schottky defect, another is Frankel defect. Now what is Schottky defect? The point defects arises in an ionic crystal due to the missing of equal number of cations and anions from the crystal is called stoichiometric defect. Here if we see the structure of the crystal, here M plus X minus and one M minus means one cation is absent, and in this second row X minus M, one is vacant, there should be some X minus, M plus, X minus and M plus. So that means one M plus and one X minus equal number, it is absent or it is missing. So the stoichiometry is maintained here. We can think about the examples of sodium chloride, potassium chloride, cesium chloride, potassium bromide, silver bromide. Okay, so in this case the coordination number of the metal is very high as well as size of this cation and anions are same, almost same. So these type of crystals will show this Schottky type of defect. Now here the density of the ionic crystal having the Schottky defect becomes less than the perfect crystal, as there one cation and one anion, or maybe cations or anions are missing with equal proportion. Next we will discuss Frankel defect. The point defect arises in an ionic crystal due to the presence of holes in the cationic lattice site, and cations occupy at the interstitial position is called Frankel defect. Here we can see this diagram, we can observe this diagram. Here M plus X minus, then next there is some hole. Here this cation moved to this interstitial position. Okay, here also one cation moves to the interstitial position. So this type of defect is called Frankel defect, and the examples are zinc sulfide, silver chloride, silver bromide, silver iodide, where the coordination number is very low and the size of the anion is greater than the size of the cation. But here, as the number of cation and number of anion from the perfect crystal is almost same, so the density should not change. So here density is not changing. Okay. Next we will go to the non-stoichiometric defects. Non-stoichiometric compounds are those where the number of cations and anions are not in the same ratio as indicated by their chemical formula. The point defects that disturb the stoichiometry of the compound are called non-stoichiometric defects. Here we can give some example that Fe 0.880, Cu 1.87S. So these are Bartholdian compounds. So here stoichiometry is not mentioned, disturbed. Now these defect may be two types. One is metal excess defect, another is metal deficiency defect. metal excess defect in an ionic compound may be arises either due to the presence of anion vacancy or due to the presence of cations, extra cations at the interstitial position. So here in first diagram we are showing that m plus x minus m plus x minus x minus m plus and 1 x minus is missing, and to maintain the electrical neutrality one electron is present, and here is another m plus. This type of metal excess defect due to anion vacancy will be observed in sodium chloride and potassium chloride crystals, where they generally show the Schottky type of defects. Then we will discuss the metal excess due to the extraction. So before going that, I want to discuss one thing that is called F centers. Anion vacancies occupied by unpaired electron in a crystal with metal excess defect are called F centers. F center is responsible for color to the crystal in the excited state. We can think about sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is white but becomes yellow when heated in presence of sodium vapor. This is due to the formation of non-stoichiometric NaCl containing F center. F center, there is one electron. Actually, this electron present in this center will absorb energy from the light and get excited, and this excitation of electrons give color to the crystals. So we can easily understand. So in this way we can easily understand the F center and why sodium chloride sometimes show yellow color when it is in excited state and when it is present in sodium vapor. Next we will discuss the metal excess due to the extra cation. Now this type of defect arises when cations occupies the interstitial position. Here I am telling you that one extra cation. So here all position m plus x minus m plus all are there, all are in the perfect, but here one extra cation is present, that is m plus in the interstitial position, and that one electron is also present to maintain the electron neutrality of the crystal. So this is called metal excess due to extra cation, and generally in case of Frankel defect we observe this type of defects, and the examples are zinc oxide. Next we will discuss the metal deficiency defect. There are also two types of metal deficiency defect. When a cation is missing from the lattice site, then we can be able to see the metal deficiency defect. So here one example is given: m plus x minus m plus x minus x minus m plus is missing, then x minus and m2 plus. M2 plus is to maintain the neutrality of the crystal. So here one cation is missing. So that is why the metal is deficient here. Number of metal is less compared to the anion. So this is metal deficiency defect due to the absence of cation. Next we will discuss the metal deficiency defect due to some extra anions occupying at the interstitial site. So here m plus x minus m plus x minus all are there in the perfect position, and one extra anion is present at the interstitial position. To neutralize the charge, here m becomes m2 plus. So this is metal deficiency defect due to the extra anion. As number of anion is greater compared to the metal, so this is also metal deficiency defect. And last I will discuss the impurity defect. If a foreign particle is present in the crystal lattice site as impurity, then the defect is called impurity defect. We can think about doping. What is doping? That the process of introducing the foreign particles or the defects in the crystal of a pure solid by adding some amount of other particles or impurities, or it may be foreign particles to the crystals, and that is called doping. Next we will discuss. So these are all about the imperfection or defects of solids. Next I will discuss some properties of solid. Solids mainly show electrical property, magnetic property and dielectric properties. Based upon electrical conductivities, solids can be classified three types. One is called conductor, another is called insulator, and another is called semiconductor. Now what is conductor? The solids which allow the electric current to pass through them. Conductors may be two types. One is metallic conductor. All of you know that metals are good conductors because they have free electrons. And another may be electrolytic conductor. We can think about solid NaCl. Solid NaCl is bad conductor, but when it is in molten state, it will conduct current, or it will carry current, or in the aqueous solution, it will carry current. So this is another type of electrolytic conductor. Now what is insulator? The solids which almost do not allow the electric current to pass through them. Conductors have conductivity values ranging from 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 7 ohm inverse meter inverse. And in insulators have the conductivity value in the order of 10 to the power minus 20 ohm inverse meter inverse. Sulfur, phosphorus, wood, plastic, rubber can act as insulator. Next we will discuss semiconductor. The solids whose conductivity is lies between this metallic conductor and insulator are called semiconductor. Or in other way we can tell that their conductivity is in the range of 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power 4 ohm inverse meter inverse. They are called semiconductors. Next I will discuss the band theory in metals. Band theory in metals. Now all of we know about the molecular orbital theory. In metal, huge number of metal atoms overlap to form huge number of molecular orbitals. As a result, a large number of energy bands or energy levels are crowded together. That are called bands. In the lower energy level, the band containing the valence shell electrons, and it's called valence band. Now what is valence band? The energy band that is partially or completely filled with electron, that is called valence band. And conduction band, the energy band that is not filled with electrons and has energy higher than valence band, that is called conduction band. And another term is there, that is called Fermi-10 energy gap. The difference in energy between the two successive bands is called the Fermi-10 energy band. So here in case of metal, the valence band and conduction band difference is very low, or they are overlapped. So here electrons can easily go when electric field is applied from valence band to conduction band, so that is why current is correct. Now in semiconductor, the gap between the valence band and conduction band is very small. Okay, so at room temperature or higher temperature, electron can go from this valence band to conduction band. So they are called semiconductors. But when this Fermi-10 energy gap is very large, then there will be no conduction of current, or no electron cannot go from this valence band to the conduction band as the energy gap is very high. So this is called insulators. In case of insulator, their conductivity value is in the order of 10 to the power minus 20 ohm inverse meter inverse. the conduction of electricity in semiconductor. Semiconductors are the solids which are perfectly insulated at absolute zero value, absolute 0 Kelvin temperature. However, they conduct electric current at room temperature. Examples are silicon and germanium. At room temperature, the conductivity is low, but at higher temperature, the crystal bonding begins to break down and electrons become free to increase the conductivity. Practically it has no use, but conductivity can be increased by adding some appropriate amount of impurity, and that is called doping. And based on this doping, there may be two types of semiconductor. One is called N type of semiconductor, another is called P type of semiconductor. Now what is N type of semiconductor? We can think about silicon. If silicon doped with a group 15 element, we can take arsenic. Then we can take arsenic, antimony, bismuth, phosphorus, etc. Then it is called N type of semiconductor. What N indicates? N indicates the negative charge of electron, as electrons here are used for conduction of electron. When an element of group 15 is added to the pure silicon, then some atoms of silicon are replaced by group 15 element. From the group 15 elements that will displace, the group 15 element will occupy the position of the silicon atom. Now silicon has the valency 4, so there will be one extra electron in case of group 15 element, and that will be the 5th valence electrons, and this electron is free, and this extra electron can serve to conduct electricity as in the case of metals. As a result, doped silicon exhibit fairly high electrical conductivity. Next we will discuss P type of semiconductors. In case of P type of semiconductor, we have to add group 13 elements as impurity. We can think about indium. If we add indium to the germanium, then some atoms of germanium are replaced by group 13 elements, and indium atoms are not able to satisfy the tetravalency of germanium, and hence some sites will be left as hole or it is unoccupied, and this is also known as positive hole. When the electric field will be applied, then the electrons from adjacent sides will come to this positive hole, resulting in the formation of new hole. So in this way, by migration of positive holes, current will be carried throughout the crystal. Thus, doping in germanium crystal by group 13 elements increases the conductivity. Next we will discuss the dielectric properties. A dielectric substance is that which may not allow electric current to pass through it, but on applying electric field, induced charge are produced on its face. Here we will discuss mainly two types of property. One is called piezoelectricity and another is called pyroelectricity. The crystals which produce electric current very small amount, when we apply pressure or we apply mechanical stress, then it is called piezoelectric crystals, and the current produced is called piezoelectricity. Examples are quartz, Rochelle salt, complex silicate minerals, etc. What is the use of this piezoelectric crystal? They generally used in record player. We know about tape recorder or any sound recorder. Okay, they are in the ribbon. We are using this type of piezoelectric crystals. Next we will discuss pyroelectricity. Pyro means heat. So some polar crystals produces small amount of current on heating, and the electricity produced is called pyroelectricity. Here we can think about the crystals of tartaric acid. Here these pyroelectric crystals can be used in case of fire alarms. Next we will discuss magnetic properties. Metals can be classified into different types on the basis of their behavior towards magnetic properties. First I want to discuss the diamagnetic solids. The solids which are repelled by external magnetic field as they have no unpaired electrons. We can think about sodium chloride, potassium chloride, etc. Now paramagnetic solids, the solids which are weakly attracted by external magnetic field as they have unpaired electrons and possesses permanent magnetic moment. As for example, we can tell that copper oxide, that will be cupric oxide, chromium, manganese, vanadium oxide, etc. Next we will discuss ferromagnetic solids. The solids which are strongly attracted by external magnetic field and show permanent magnetism even in absence of external magnetic field. The examples are iron, cobalt, nickel, and ferromagnetism is due to the spontaneous alignment of the magnetic field in the same direction. Next, antiferromagnetic solids. Here it is given antiferromagnetic solids. Antiferromagnetic solids are the solids which have zero magnetic moment. Here number of unpaired electrons is very high, but their alignments are just opposite. So one cancels the magnetic moment of the other. So here net magnetic moment is zero, and the examples are manganese oxide, ferric oxide, ferrous oxide, etc. Next, the last point is the perimagnetic solids. The solids with very small net magnetic moment, in spite of having large number of unpaired electrons. Here it is drawn that 2 is parallel, 1 is anti-parallel. Then again 2 is parallel and 1 is anti-parallel. So sum of the magnetic moments is cancelled. So they are low amount of magnetic moment, and the examples of this type of ferrimagnetic substance are Fe3O4 crystals, or these one iron metal may be replaced by other metals like chromium, manganese, etc. So now in this way, today I have completed your solid state chemistry chapter. Hope all of you can understand, and in my every class I gave you my email ID, and I hope that all of you have my phone numbers. If you have any problem, you can call me, and please read the textbook line by line, and hope I will expect that all of you have textbooks, and please try to solve the worksheets